In the tapestry of life, where every thread holds a story, America in black and white emerges as a haven for the voices echoing through the heart of our communities. In this podcast, we wade through the rivers of our collective experiences, celebrating the vibrant hues of change brought forth by the whispers of hope and the roars of action. It's more than just a conversation. It's a journey into the heart of our society, illuminated by the light of those daring to dream and do. Join us, and let your voice be the melody that guides us toward a dawn where every color finds its place in the masterpiece of our shared destiny. Together, let's paint a future brimming with the positives that dwell in our minds and the actions that shape our
Hello, are you hearing me? It don't seem as if I'm hearing you. I'm not so sure by the audio. I might need to. Oh, yeah. Hello? Oh, right. Hello?
Can you hear me?
I am hearing you now. I'm hearing you loud now and clear. I'm not so sure why. Let me see if I can just bring over my camera
Okay.
and see if this works.
I see the floor.
Right, I'm not so sure why I'm not talking. Camera spin around. Let me do this. Something quickly. Are you hearing me now?
Yeah, I hear you. Just don't see you. I see a green background.
I'm wondering because you were just on, so let me just see if the video setting has changed. I just put on. Strange. What's happening here? Just give me a second. Let me just switch machine and see if it is from my side. Technically, huh? Okay, Who? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm hearing you now.
Okay.
Great. I don't, technology have a way of this, of causing havoc at times, and not so sure what happened there.
Yes, sir. You're actually kind of dark though. We can't really see your face, but I see you sitting there. I see your background. Is there anything you'd like to add to your biography?
Not necessarily. I think it's give a quick summary of um of my background and my present position and the role that I play currently.
Okay. Well, let's just hop into this. So we
You
can
were saying that my background is it any better now?
say it again.
I was asking if the background is any better now. You were saying that you were not able to see.
Yeah, I can see your background, but also I can see you a little bit better as well. Like you turned on a light or something.
Right, I'm going to see if I can if I can just increase get a better lighting. Oh yeah, this must be better.
There we go. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah. So let me do the minor spin. Ah, yeah. I think this must be. Thanks for your patience.
Yes, sir. I can see you.
Yes.
So, can you start out by telling us? Can you share a bit about your journey into the fields of finance and IT, and what inspired you to pursue these areas?
Well, interestingly, I think it's a matter of um, coincidence that I end up in finance. However, as a child growing up, my
Hmm.
first preference was to become a medical doctor.
Uh
But then recognizing that it was very costly to go to medical school.
huh.
So, so I decided that when I did my, what we used to call young people analysis in terms of, a lot of times people ask you, what you want to be? And the standard thing, either I'm going to be a policeman or a doctor or a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was very intrigued with mathematics.
Mm-hmm.
And then having gone through high school, recognizing that I need to find another career path, coincidentally, where I used to live, there was a public accounting firm next door. At that time, it was Delight and Touche,
Uh-huh.
and I was very intrigued with the workers coming in and going out, and yeah, and so my desire for accounting, was peaked a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then after graduating from school, I did economics and recognized that yes, this is a field that I think I like. And so I entered the professional exams, the chartered accounting exams. After that, I went and I did a couple of IT courses because at the time, it was about bridging the gap between manual and technology in the early 90s. And
Mm-hmm.
so, unlike today, when most of our youngsters literally go to school using a computer,
Mm-hmm.
we had to pay to go to our first computer class. Eh?
Right.
But it was
Right.
very important. It was at the time we were bridging the gap between manual and technology. And so that also piqued my interest in terms of the level of efficiency that it drives. At that time, Lotus, if persons recognize Lotus versus Excel, was an excellent tool for accountants in terms of spreadsheet. And
Mm-hmm.
then from there, I joined Ernst and Young and went through audit, um, spent some time there, then went into consulting. And I think consulting really gave me that 360-degree vision in terms of what the real finance profession is.
Mm-hmm.
And then I decided that I want to test my craft. And so I joined the private sector as financial controller for a group. And in 2002, I decided that I have a very keen interest in professional services. And
Okay.
so that's how Dargen was formed, 2nd of September 2002. We
Mm-hmm.
started out as a small bookkeeping one staff firm, and I was the staff member. And we grow since then. I mean, from a small bookkeeping, we add consulting, we grow at different divisions. We also join different affiliations in terms of international affiliations. Make a from Jeffries Henry International, then we did a co-branding with UHY, and then our last affiliation was with Crow Howard for our Jamaican Trinidad firm. And then in 2018, when we look at our 10-year strategy, we decided that we want to create a global brand that we own and control and can create a culture of its own. And hence, that's how the Dargen Global brand was formed, and our firm was rebranded Dargen Global. And we started our expansion plan and to just serve the global community in terms of finance strategy, expansion, business coaching, just to be that friend for business entrepreneurs. So a lot of us as entrepreneurs have specific knowledge in terms of finance or strategy or IT and technology and transformation, but there are some entrepreneurs who does not have that skill set and rely on professional service firms like ours to guide them. So we see our role almost as their board of directors in the background. We guide them. We are their almost go-to consultant for on a 360-degree basis, looking at business from setup to growth to expansion to recovery to strategy to diversification and also exit strategy. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the role we play. We really help entrepreneurs shine
Mm-hmm.
while we in the background. Yes, we don't take their shine. We allow them to shine. And
Mm-hmm.
so you find, like, so for example, our business coach, which is now a line item that we provide coaching services for entrepreneur, globally, whether you are in Jamaica, the Caribbean, US, Africa, wherever you are, and the technology allows us to be your go-to strategy person. And
Mm-hmm.
our expertise is wide, yes, very, very wide, from
Mm-hmm.
setup to accounting to risk to audit. So our firm is structured in several divisions.
Mm-hmm.
So we have Dargen auditors, which is the compliance department that do audit, etc. Then we have Dargen advisors, which is what we call the consulting arm that deal with from setup, as I said, to business growth, strategy, marketing, you name it, all of those core functions that require you to generate wealth and to keep it, actually. And then we have the technology, which is becoming more relevant now as businesses cannot really function efficiently without a blend of technology. And then we have the coaching division, which we have now created as a unique division because of its diverse nature
Mm-hmm.
and because we believe in that one-to-one coaching, and we believe in crafting a roadmap that is specific to each client, each individual. So our coaching scenario is not a classroom scenario where you get 10 persons and you're telling them about a topic. Our coaching scenario is private, one-to-one. Tell me where you are now. Where do you want to go? It's specific driven. It is KPI driven. Yes, strictly key performance indicators. So my sale is $10 today. I said to you, where do you want to go in 24 months? You tell me you want to make $50. I go and I draft a plan
Mm-hmm.
to show you how you get to that $50. But most important, milestones to get to that plan. So wherever you are, you might be a scenario where you are running a company and you're struggling. Things have changed, business have changed, the environment have changed, the competitive landscape, and you now need a strategy. We will now need to evaluate where you are. Recall that position statement. The
Yep.
now, the now. Where am I? Where am I going? Where do I want to go? And then we might end up with a recovery strategy and then a growth strategy. But irrespective of where you are, we believe that the ultimate aim is to generate wealth and to grow the wealth in order for the betterment of all stakeholders. Both the entrepreneurs and the other stakeholders, as you would recognize. That is very funny. There are a lot. Each entrepreneur empower a long list of persons, from
Mm-hmm.
employees, got to government. People rely and they do play a significant part in the whole wealth generation and improving the standard of living. And especially in this time, not everybody can be an entrepreneur. Yeah,
Yes.
not
Right.
everybody can be an entrepreneur, but
Mm-hmm.
everybody can join that entrepreneur journey in one way or another. Whether you're a support team member, you're an employee, but you're all part of the entrepreneur journey. As it take a team. While some businesses can say that it can be a one runner, a 100-meter sprint, but for most substantive value-driven business is a team approach. And so with that team approach, each individual have a critical part to play. And that is what drive revenue in terms of sustainability and value added.
Okay, so what early experiences shaped your interest in consulting and entrepreneurship?
Well, the early experience I would say would have been joining um, Ernst and Young at
Mhm,
um, at the age of 21, 22, and being in audit. I went through the junior rank pretty quickly, um, as my interest was peaking, trying to learn everything quickly, and then having spent 4 years, then I was transferred as consultant to the consulting department. The difference between the consulting department now, you are now getting into strategy and result in terms of guiding businesses and assisting them to solve their problem, to make smarter decisions that have lasting impact. So I think my whole experience there
mhm.
would have shaped the foundation to
Okay.
create an entity that I lead and grow. And that's how the Dargen comes in, into Dargen Global, where I currently sit as the executive chairman,
Mhm.
responsible for growth and strategy and basically wealth creation.
So, how did your educational background prepare you for your career in finance and IT?
Yeah, and I think we did, from what we'd call high school days by doing accounting, business studies, and then immediately after that, I went to the University of the West Indies and I did a certificate in business studies. I think that was a game changer for me because that business studies courses that cover at the time 11 key components, and those 11 key components was broad in terms of from marketing to IT to finance, which is core hardcore finance,
Mhm.
to human resources, industrial relations, law, economics, and at the
So,
time,
mhm.
strategy development. In those days, business studies focus on growth. How do you grow? Because there was a growth agenda. There was a very aggressive growth agenda. And how do you grow? By expansion, internationalization, where you're moving, going beyond borders. I think those preliminary courses and then my chartered accounting studies also help. Importantly, after that, I did my PhD in finance and
Mhm.
management, which was broad, and it comprises core finance, technology, and management and internationalization. So that now become almost the anchor for
Mhm.
this modern global operation.
So, with the course being so broad and it being so much for you to have to get, when you enter the University of West Indies, do you think that, with the way the course was designed, do you think that it was the broadness of the actual course that actually helped you to solidify the foundation that you was looking to build?
Yes, I think so, because what it does is really give you a foundation,
Hmm.
almost a 360-degree global overview. And with
Hmm.
that solid foundation, you're able to build on top of it. So it's similar, so it's coming like, a person need a house and
Hmm.
you have intention that you want a 7 bedroom. The first thing is that foundation. You might go 2 story, then pause, then keep on building. But if you have that good foundation, so I think the good thing about it is that you were not only specializing in one core, but you were seeing all the facet of management.
Right,
Yes, all the
right.
facet of management. Because while you can be an excellent accountant,
Hmm.
accounting is historical, technically. You are accounting for what already occurred. yes, in terms of financial accounting. Now, when you talk about looking into the future, projection, budgeting, forecasting, yes,
Yes, sir.
blend that into economics and the factors of demand and globalization and competition, yes, and the
Yeah.
market forces. So, for example, if you don't have an idea, or any entrepreneur now who don't have an idea of market forces, the competitive forces, yes,
Right.
then you might find that this year you are making $1 million US in profit.
Right.
Yes. And then you see things happening and your profitability is going down and you wonder what is happening. And if you don't have that broad idea, even though you might not be the one to that study or that review, you must be aware that you need now to get into the why. Yes. What are the drivers? What is happening in my environment? Why is it change? And because of those changes, now what can I do? Yeah, what strategy you're going to implement and how you're going to do it and how quickly can you do it? And also importantly, what are your constraining factors? What are those factors that will prevent you from doing what you really want to do? But then you will take those limited conditions and you'll craft a strategy that comply with what you have now. And a lot of times you just need to start,
Right.
some people can accelerate quickly. Some
Right.
people can make one step. So it doesn't matter how long you take to reach your destination. Yes, you will
So,
reach.
yes, sir. So, what key skills have you developed that you believe are essential for success in your career?
Oh, well, I'll say key skill is the ability to assess past transactions, is the ability to assess your current environment, is the ability to have a global overview of the world, because gone are the days you just need to know about your current jurisdiction. And importantly, is the ability to design strategy.
Right.
But not only designing the strategy, but also executing it. Because a lot of times you can design strategy, you can have case studies upon case study, you can have reports upon reports, you can have 7 recommendations, but there is a special skill when it comes on to execution.
Oh, wow.
One of the greatest shortcomings with management is the ability to successfully execute a strategy. I believe that if you only have one skill set that is critical, is the ability to execute the strategy that is designed and execute it successfully. Now, executing successfully means that you have the ability to assess where you are, you have the ability to be agile and to make changes or recommend changes quickly. If you're on the wrong road, stop, assess, turn back. It is the wrong road. The ability to make the tough decision is an asset.
Oh, wow. So, can you like do us a favor for those that are listening? Can you just give them some ideas of like what are some of those steps, like 1 through 4 or 1 through 5? What are some of those steps that they should be thinking about when it comes to, as you're saying, to strategize and put these plans together and then execute? What are some of the 5? What are some 5 things that they should know?
Okay, so irrespective of the business that you are in, whether you're a barber, whether you're a distribution store, whether or not you are in transportation, okay, or whether or not you are in construction, yeah, one of the key things you need to do is a position statement. And I will explain the position statement.
Okay.
Position statement doesn't mean that you're going to sit and craft on figures.
Okay.
Position statement is broader than figure. And a lot of people say, oh, position statement at account, I have to get accountant to do it. No. The first thing you do is to do what we call a position statement. Take an hour, jot down, make a note of what you are in. What type of business am I in? Okay? Oh, yes? So the what.
Right.
Decide the what. Yes?
Okay.
Then the next question is, who do I serve?
Okay.
Which is your customers. Okay? So when you determine that what, then who do I serve? Yes? That's too critically, because a lot of times, sometimes we don't zero in into who our customers are. And if you don't know who your customers are, then you won't be able to assess the environment, internally changes that is occurring within your customer scenario. Okay? Because, everybody can have a Kodak moment.
Right.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
Then, third, why? You must, within your own words, within your own knowledge, determine your why. Why am I in this business?
Okay.
Your why. And sometimes that question is very difficult.
Yeah,
that's the hardest question because you have never asked yourself. Huh?
I say that too can be pretty broad. The why.
It's very broad. The why. Yes, the why.
Yes, sir.
Why am I in it? And some person might say, okay, how do I do that? But if I give an example, yes, when you're evaluating your why, yes, you might say, well, I have to make a living. That is a why. The why can also be, this is what I know, this is the only thing I know to do.
Right.
Yes? And the other things that say, I really enjoy what I am doing. Now, anybody who is listening and the answer to their why is that I enjoy what I'm doing, it means that they are no longer working. They are not stressed, The energy will flow. They ain't working anymore, It's no longer work. Yes?
Yes, sir.
But in answering that why and determine who you serve, you have to focus on the value that you provide to your stakeholders.
Okay.
And the stakeholders, the stakeholders are your customers, your workers, government, everybody who benefit from what you are doing.
Yes.
You are creating value. It is my belief that if you create value for others, you don't need to worry about how you are going to create your value. If you focus on creating value for others, you will create value for yourself. So the consulting profession is broad, and if you have consultants listening out there, if consultants focus on making millionaires and billionaires, they don't need to worry if they are going to be millionaires and billionaires.
Right.
Yes? By creating that value, you'll get some for yourself.
Yes.
So you're talking about the why. Why do you? So you're talking about what do I do? Yeah, the why. And the next important point, yes, is to analyze your position, your strength and the weakness. What are the issues you are having now? What is preventing you from reaching your ultimate? Where do you want to go? It is not about where you are now. It's where you want to go. It's not about what has happened to you over the last 10, 15 years, how much money you have lost or what you did wrong. All of that is irrelevant. It is now. Where am I now? What are my capabilities? Where do I want to go? And just focus on that. Now, you might say about how do I do it? Even if you are going to get help, the first thing that you need to do is to sit quietly. And I'm going to say this. You know, with technology, we have our computers, we have our tablets, and we have our laptops, and so on. When
Mm-hmm.
you're getting into what I term this primary self-assessment,
Mm-hmm.
get a notebook and a pen.
Okay.
Don't type it. Don't. No, no, no. You
Mm-hmm.
need it to be intimate. You need an intimate moment with yourself in assessing where you are. Right?
Mm. Okay.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
After you jot down the points, you
Mm-hmm.
will be forced to refine those points because you'll be doing it in summary.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Don't do the self-assessment in noise. Don't call a friend and say, come, let's discuss this. No, do it on your own. One sheet. And I tell you, you're not going to write 10 pages. You must not, it must not be more than on one sheet of paper.
Oh
If you're
wow.
going over to two paper, stop. You're including irrelevant things. One sheet. One sheet of paper for that initial assessment. One sheet. After you have done that, so in other words, don't try get into how you're going to solve it on that sheet. If you read two sheets, you are getting into how you're solving it. Yeah, you are doing your position statement.
Okay.
Your what we sometimes I call it your fly sheet. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
one sheet of paper. If you end up on two sheets, you need to go back and condense that to one, and that's also a part of the process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's also a part of the process. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Okay.
putting it together allow you to start to focus on the business. A lot of times, and I'm going to say entrepreneurs because it is real.
Mm-hmm.
Entrepreneurs spend all their time working in the business instead of working on the business. There's a difference between working in the business and working on the business.
Mm-hmm.
When you're working in the business, and I use a scenario, so you get your first job to do, and you hold your head down and you spend all the, so it's going to take you a month. You spend 1 month, for example, just doing that job, just doing that job, just doing that job. Hey, guess what? You just realized you
Mm-hmm.
spend 1 month doing the job instead of allocating your time and spend 80% of your time doing the job, but 20% of the time building the business to get another job before you complete this job.
Oh, okay.
I
So
want to make it as simple as
starting little fires.
yes, I want you to make it as simple as possible. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
these are the challenges that entrepreneurs face. Okay, and the next key thing
Mm-hmm.
for their own well-being,
Mm-hmm.
I always say this to entrepreneurs:
Mm-hmm.
you must always maintain your vault.
Your voice.
Vault, vault.
Oh,
What do I
okay.
call the vault?
Okay.
So every business, even if they are making losses, they have flows of funds. Funds come in.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do with those funds? And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people say, oh, Dr. Brown, don't say that. I say to them that if you get $100,
Mm-hmm.
$100, one of
Mm-hmm.
the biggest challenge that entrepreneurs have now, business people have now,
Mm-hmm.
is sometimes managing their payables. They owe 20,000, is
Mm-hmm.
overdue, and they collect only 10.
Mm-hmm.
The question, what do you do with the 10? Do you take it and pay one person and then
No,
wait till
you got to pay more than one person.
so it's always good to analyze your suppliers
Mm-hmm.
in terms of latent suppliers and other suppliers. The latent are the core ones, the ones that are critical to the business. Yeah. But
Mm-hmm.
when you are allocating that $20 that you collect, you must always, as a strategy, retain 10% of your collection. Only spend 90%. It's a hard. Some people say, oh, but that's hard, I can't. No. Maintain 10%. Only spend 90%.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're a struggling entrepreneur, we talk about advice and strategy, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's a difference with your energy when your bank account is $0 as against when it is 10.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
You're a human being.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So basically that's like the fail safe before the fail safe, where you know where you get to the point where you got to cut it off.
Yes. Yes. So if you practice that, or if you have not been practicing it, start it tomorrow. Don't worry about it. Just assume you only have 90% of what you collect.
Right.
The other 10% go in the vault.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. The vault is for your emergency.
Okay.
Because remember, a lot of entrepreneurs,
Mm-hmm.
if they are not careful.
Mm-hmm. So let's transition over into your finance insights. Can you tell us what trends do you see currently shaping the finance industry, and how should professionals adapt?
Oh yeah, we have finances now completely different than what it was, in the sense that we now have different what we call category of finance. The digitalization and digital asset is now a big issue and is here to stay.
Okay.
One of the challenges we have in finance is, how do you manage digital assets?
Yes.
How do you transition from having $20 in cash as against having only a card? How you transition in terms of accumulating wealth? So gone are the days when it's only large multinational companies that invest in stocks or keep some of their wealth in cash. In the world of finance, now is relevant to everybody, but more so important, you cannot manage finance without documentation.
True. Record
You cannot
keeping is
manage
important.
finance without documentation. So the first step in dealing with finance and the changes, you have to ensure that you have proper record keeping. And one of the issues that has creeped into finance is regulatory changes, regulations. So for example, in several jurisdictions, you have legislation that surround anti-money laundering, proceeds of crime. So while you can generate wealth and have it, you have to ensure that you have the documentation to show how you get that wealth. So finance, in terms of historical record keeping, which is what accountants does, that's one issue. And there's a lot of change in that in terms of technology is assisting us with a lot of that. So gone are the days when you have to have 5 persons who is doing the bank reconciliation. But I must warn anybody out there who is not doing bank reconciliation on a timely basis, they are playing with fire.
Oh, you got that right. Let me, as you say that, let me tell you, I had a client, and this is not a lie. I had a client that had not reconciled. Dr. Brown hadn't reconciled in 6 months to a year. And trying to go back and reconstruct and make that work was the hardest thing in the world. I could not make that work. I just gave up and I said, I can't help you.
But importantly, so in finance now have more risk. What am I talking about? With digitalization and digital transaction, yes, if you are not checking all the items that come into your bank account to make sure that they are legitimate and they are your transaction, and so you can identify errors and revert to your institution for reversal, you will lose a lot of money over time. Interestingly, you say 6 months. There are some persons who have not done it for all 3 years.
Yes.
Guess what?
Oh, wow.
They might have lost a lot of money.
A lot of money.
Yes, because also there can be duplications. And if you don't know what is happening in your bank account, how are you going to know the different charges? So a lot of even small SMEs have not factored in the costs of bank charges and so on into the pricing of their goods.
Exactly.
Because they are not aware of it.
Right. Let me ask you this question, because what's interesting is I see that you've got a really good stable plan in basically how you're operating. Is it safe to say that with you guys, with your firm, that you have, like, was it 7 different departments? So if
we have 5 main divisions.
Okay, 5 divisions.
And they specialize and they are staffed by professionals and specialist staff. Yes. And so you might find that a company who need our services, yes, we operate what we call a multidisciplinary professional firm. So from one assignment, you might need an HR specialist.
Right.
You might have your workers who don't have contracts, who doesn't have any proper performance measurement. Yes. You might recognize that you don't have an accounting system. So that's where IT comes in. Yes. You might recognize that also, that while you have an accounting package, and we have seen this, persons go and buy an online accounting package. And they say, yes, I have it now. They know how to enter the payments, but they don't know how to set up their balance sheet.
Oh, wow.
They don't know how to set up their general ledger. They don't know how to set up their invoicing properly. Yeah. So you might need help to configure that system for you, and then you can now use it because it's already set up. It's turnkey. Yes. But a lot of times it needs to be customized. Okay. In addition, you might have persons who are not doing proper costing. So they might be selling a product for $5, and they have selling it for $5 for the last 7 years. They have not changed the $5. But as you know, inflation has been running at a level, okay? And you might not be making any profit from that item, and that item is a loss maker. But because you have other items you're not even recognized. Now, give and take. There are some items that are complementary goods and you have to carry it. And the margin is not, excellent, but it is important to drive the sale of another item. But you must have the information to make that decision. Nothing is wrong in deciding to sell something at a loss, but you must know that you're selling at a loss. You don't want to wait until 12 months after when you're doing the financial. You recognize that you make a loss. You must agree that you're making a loss, but you must decide that that loss is strategic.
See, that's it. That's interesting because, I think that when it comes down to it overall, I think sometimes, let's say, like, when you're building and you're growing and you're thinking about, as you was talking about, just, when you have to get rid of something as a loss and so forth, I think what's happening a lot of time in business is that there are a whole bunch of people, a whole lot of entrepreneurs or owners, if they're not having really good record keeping, they're really not understanding that process. And so what happens is they wound up either holding on to something that's got no value, or it causes a problem with that that's going to cause them to really lose money in the long term.
Yes.
And so like when you talk about these identifiers, what are these identifiers that they should be looking for?
Good. So, and let me just make this very clear. We are not saying that every entrepreneur have to become an accountant or a HR specialist or a IT specialist. Okay.
Right.
But if you don't know that is important, you will not know when to seek help from the professionals.
Mm-hmm.
And the reality is, a lot of times as a small business, you can't hire a full-time IT person. You can't hire a full-time accountant, and you don't need to do that. That's where professional firms come in.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, firms like our firm, where we have SME package, and we can come in and give you a full house package. And a full house package means we cover HR, we cover tax, we cover technology, we cover every function of the business that require attention, and we provide you with reports. So sometimes you have to look at efficiency. What is it that the person loves? And if the person loves something, it doesn't make any sense to break them. But they must be aware. So they must be aware of what they need. And that's where the consultants and the coaches come in, where every month or every 2 weeks, the report is prepared and they sit down and you go through it with them. And they understand what they now need to adjust. And they go out and they see the result, because it is my belief that the result is always shown in the bank account.
Right. Very simple.
That is it. That is the easiest. That is the easiest, the best KPI measurement.
Right.
Your profitability. But I must also say this too. It is important for entrepreneurs to be aware of the impact of taxes, because a lot of times the business can be structured, yes, in a tax efficient way, but because you didn't organize, you not even know the tax benefit that you can get, and so you end up not maximizing your return on your investment. Yes, because it is good to plan. Tax planning is excellent. Yes, and while there's a controversy about tax evasion and tax avoidance, tax avoidance is legal. Nothing is wrong with it. Tax avoidance is important to generate profit and to keep most of what you generate. Yes. However, if you don't put the system in place, the structure, to avoid that cost, and then you don't pay it, then it's evasion, and that is what is illegal.
Yes.
Tax evasion is illegal. But it's important that you understand the thing that you need to look at. One, revenue. You must, and you don't want to get too complicated. So I'm just going to keep it to 4 levels. Revenue, costs, and net profit.
Yes, sir.
Importantly too, when you get your financial statements, and I'm going to say this, and I want people to listen to this carefully. Don't worry yourself trying to understand too much of the balance sheet. Don't worry yourself trying to understand too much of the profit and loss. There's one key statement that tells the full story, and is what you call a cash flow statement. That is structured in revenue from operating activities. One, revenue from operating activities, revenue or flow or cash flow from financing activities, cash flow from investing activities, and then the last one is the increase or decrease in your cash. Now, the first red light is if your cash flow from operating activity is negative, danger. Bankruptcy is not far away.
Oh,
that's it. In other words, the cash flow from the operating activity, that first subline for people who are aware, okay? And that's why I like the cash flow to tell business people. Don't worry too much about the balance sheet. It's not cross a lot of things. You see, if you understand that cash flow is like the nerves of your business. If you see the cash flow from operating activity is negative, what does that mean? It means that your core business activity that you are doing is not generating enough cash to finance the costs.
Exactly.
And it means that either your working capital item, which is your receivables and your payables, need management, or it means that your revenue is too low and you're not charging the correct margin.
Wow.
And you need to fix that.
Yeah, so that's going back. That means most likely you got to go back to the drawing board because you missed something.
Well, yes. In other words, you have to go back to that position statement.
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
And it might be very simple, you know. It might be a scenario, yes, where you have this accounting system and you touch the button and it print the invoice. And you just send it out and you get the payment. But you don't realize that you did not change the price of the goods based on the last import, where you have suffered an increase. So, for example, when we have the logistic issue with shipping, and a lot of people use standard costing, you set a rate, yes? But when a container move from 6,000 US to 23,000, if you were just focused on getting the goods and sending it to the customer and realize, hey, all the profit is gone from the shipping. So costing is important to that entrepreneur. And if your costing is wrong, that's where your cash flow from operating activity is going to be in the red. And I will say this, you need to fix those elements. You don't need to be running all over the place. Yeah? The other critical thing, and there are so many things that you see, but the other critical thing is to be aware in a timely manner. Don't wait till the end of the year when you do the account. They tell us you make a loss. Monthly accounts or quarterly accounts is important. And now you can set up your system with technology. You don't need to have a full-time accountant, but with technology, every morning you can get up and touch that dashboard, that Excel dashboard or that visual dashboard, because you don't want to get into too much technically. And it tell you what is your profit or your loss immediately. Every day you just look at it. But again, setting up the system is important. The golden rule is that you use system to run business and hire people to manage the system. You don't hire people to manage business. System manage business, people run the system.
So how do you approach risk management in financial decision making?
Good. Importantly, the first thing you have to do is to have an idea of all the risk. So the risk can be giving a customer credit and they run into difficulty and can't pay you. Not that they didn't plan to pay you, but circumstances behind their control, they cannot pay you. So it's very important that you know who you're granting credit to. Important also is that the working capital element of your business, which is captured in your receivables and your payables, it makes no sense where you have to pay your supplier in 30 days and you are giving your customer 30-day credit. It means that you will have to go and get a bank overdraft to pay the supplier and pay interest on it, and you're not recovering that cost.
Oh, wow.
So you need to make sure that the credit that you give to your customer is facilitated by the credit that you receive from the supplier.
Wow. Okay. And so what's the determination as to how long you let this go when you grant this credit?
Well, again, it depends on the competitive forces. And it also depends whether or not you are breaking into a market. Yeah. Depends on where you are in the maturity chain. Because let's say, and that's what I'm saying, everybody requires customization. If you are just coming in the business, yes, and you see a customer you really need, and you really feel that this is a good customer, yeah. Persons who just start business, sometimes a little bit more relaxed with their credit policy. Nothing is wrong with that because you have to make a first sale, okay? But you must be aware of the risk that you are taking. And so if you are aware of the risk that you are taking, then you will mitigate those risks. So for example, a lot of persons don't know that you can take out a credit, you can take out an insurance, which is not a lot of money, especially in developed countries. against bad debt against a customer not paying you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, you can.
Mm-hmm.
But also managing what we call the economic order quantity is important.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of giving a customer 24 items on credit for a month, you give them 12 for 2 weeks. And then
Okay.
when they come now and pay the 2 weeks, then you give them again. So you're actually cutting your days into 15. So there are some unique ways in dealing with the different nuisances, yeah. But in terms of finance, without getting into the complication, as a guide, you just one of the most important area that you have to be aware of is working capital management.
You know something? Let me ask you this question when it comes to that, because
Yes.
I can understand when you say 2 weeks, 12 months, or maybe 2 years. But my thing is, how do you what do you do for the journal entry? How would you enter that in the journal?
Okay, so remember, so in terms of when you set up your accounting system, yes, double entry wise, to book that sale, yes, to book that sale, you are in effect increasing an asset and also decreasing an asset. In the sense that you are decreasing your inventory and you are increasing your receivables.
Okay.
Yes, because you're giving the goods out of the warehouse, it's gone, but there's a financial asset now, financial asset called the receivables. So to book the sale on credit, this is not cash sale now, this is sale on credit. What you're really doing, what you're doing is you're going to debit the receivables from Tom Brown and you're going to credit your sales. That's it, debit and credit, balance.
Oh,
okay. That's the only transaction necessary. When the customer pays you now, and then in your accounting system, any online system, whether it's the QuickBooks, SAP, anything you set up, you can tell it. You on your invoice that is selling out, you tell the customer the amount of days in the system. And that system allows you to print a report, a receiver report that will give you a list of all the people who owe you and whether or not it is overdue. Yes. Okay. But here the next thing now. So when the customer pays you, the entry is you receive the money, you debit the bank. Yes. So you are now increasing an asset called bank cash, but you are also reducing our receivables, financial receivable called the receipt, because now the person pay you, they don't owe you. So the receiver is now less. So you are reducing the asset called receivables, and you are also increasing an asset called cash. So to increase an asset, you debit. Yes, to reduce an asset, you credit. So you are going to debit the bank or the cash to show you receive the money, and you credit the receiver with the amount received.
Okay. So that's so primarily that's why you're keeping it on that side, regardless of the case, because once it's paid, it's got to increase the cash.
And importantly about the record keeping that we speak about. If you are rushing because you just want to give the customer and you just jot it down without in the system, and you realize the chaos that can happen because you receive the money and don't know how to book it.
Okay.
Or you book it incorrectly. Or you might hear where you might go wrong. When you receive the money, yes, because remember, you had already given the goods out, yes, and your debit receive like your credit sales, which is the income. Right. If you don't do it properly, you will overstate your sales and end up paying more tax, because when you get that money, you make a mistake and go back now.
Right.
And go credit sales and debit the bank. Your sales double.
Okay.
And you just give up, and you give away, and you file wrong tax return with higher income than is necessary. And that's why the record keeping is important. But not only the record keeping, it's just how you set up your ledger. Because remember, after you set up these things, it is a click button. All you do is just drill and click and select your customer. You're not really doing anything much after. Because everything is done in the back. So even though I say debit and credit, you literally, it is already set up in the back of the system to do all of that work. But as they say, Garbage in, garbage out. So if you don't put it in properly, then the report that you get will not be of much use because it will be incorrect.
Mm-hmm. Can you discuss a challenging financial project you worked on and the lessons learned from it?
Oh, I've worked on several. But if I should just pick one of the most um popular
Mm-hmm.
finance project
Mm-hmm.
is an entrepreneur who need a bank loan and need to prepare a business plan
Mm-hmm.
where the the strategy that he has been employing, okay, is not an optimum strategy. And so when you develop that plan based on what he's doing, you realize that the plan is now showing that his business is not bankable.
Mm.
Here's the challenge, because remember, a lot of persons believe that a business plan is for the banker.
Mm-hmm.
So they only do it when they want to get a loan. But the business plan is for you first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
And the business plan doesn't have to be elaborate. But we have seen, you know, when you look at the historical record and you put together the business plan, you realize that the funding that the person seek, they won't be able to pay the interest.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now you now get into a scenario where you have a plan. You know it is not bankable.
Mm-hmm.
So you now have to now sit that person down. So while they did not come to you for coaching services, you
Right.
have to now sit the person down because all they want is a business plan. They just want that document bound a business plan to take it to their banker. But you as a professional know that that plan that you now have based on all the information generated from his system is not bankable and he will not get the money. So you
Mm-hmm.
now have to now sit him down to explain to him why he has to now have to make changes. And some of the changes might not be easy decisions
Mm-hmm.
because some of these changes might involve overstaff.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you something on that because that's a really good point to make. So would you, let's just say on a hypothetical,
Yeah.
if you're looking at quarterly statements, when you get your statement every quarter,
Yes.
and let's just say when you look at it and you see if you're actually being more fluid as you're going along and so forth, would it be from a quarterly statement that you would say, okay, let me make this, let me see about doing maybe um adding another employee or so, or whatever other changes that you wanted to make? Would you use that statement to do
No.
that, or would there be some other things that that
No.
factors that go into it?
The statement, if you use the statement that you have, you might want to use it to say that you have enough money to pay another person.
Mm-hmm.
But what you need to do is to look at what we call your operational KPIs,
Okay.
which mean that you have to do a job analysis. Simple. What it is that you're going to have this person doing, what
Mm-hmm.
it is that other persons are doing. Are they fully utilized? Do you have some persons who can be retrained and be now working 8 hours instead of being unproductive for 2 hours every day? As
Okay.
against you go and hire somebody else.
Okay.
A lot of persons, and it's interesting that you make that reference because it's a fact. When SMEs, small business, making decisions for hiring, they just check to ensure that they will have enough money to pay the person. But that is the wrong. That's not where you start. You must ensure that the person who you are hiring is going to be productive and add more value to the business, which means that that quarter report that you see, it will
Mm-hmm.
generate more revenue the next quarter. It is not to reduce the quarter cash flow. You are going to hire to increase the quarter cash flow.
Okay.
But
Okay.
it's important to check the quarter because you want to make sure that you are in a financial position to pay the additional salary. Yes, because sometimes the persons who will work, or that new person, you will have to pay them every 2 weeks or 4 weeks. Yes, but depending on the credit terms that you give the supplier, if the supplier is going to pay you in 40 days or 30 days, and you have to pay that person in 15 days, there you're going to have an outflow, and you have to finance that payment. And that's why it is, yes, you will look at the quarterly, but that cannot be the only thing you look at. The first thing is to ensure that you make sure the person who you are bringing in is going to add more productive capacity, and you also have a demand for that productive capacity.
Okay. Okay. So then that also then will determine what the wages would be as well.
Exactly, because and sometimes when you might need additional support, but you might not necessarily need to hire somebody, you can probably outsource it at a lower rate.
Okay.
So gone are the days when an entrepreneur say, well, I have 4 desks in my office. 2 occupy, 1 spare. I need to fill that one. And you don't hire because of 4 seats you have.
Look, that right there, that's asking for a problem.
And hey, let's face it, that a lot of time small business run into problem because of a concept. And sometimes they just need to have somebody to go. You see, while you might not be a big company and have boards, yeah,
right,
but you must have that advisor who you can bounce things on and can guide you. So whether it be quarterly, monthly, where you have your meetings. And one of the issue or one of the culture challenge that we find with some entrepreneurs, because they are so busy, yes, they sometimes find it a challenge to find the time to sit down to discuss the business. You have to find the time to discuss the business. It's the same concept about working on the business instead of working in the business. Because to grow the business, you have to work on it.
Yes, definitely. What advice would you give to someone looking to start a career in finance?
Oh, very easy. First thing, so a career in finance is broad. Don't just say you want to be an accountant, or you want to be an auditor, or you want to be a financial analyst. Yeah? I am going to, and I say this, and you know, the advice you give today might not be the advice you would have given 7 years.
Right.
Yeah?
Right.
I say
things change.
Any individual who want to have a career in finance, the first thing you must do, you must go and do a first degree.
Okay.
You must go and do a first degree. After that first degree, then you can specialize.
Okay.
Gone are the days when you just run, and like you run and you just go and do a professional qualification. Don't do it. You won't have that 360-degree foundation to deal with stress, to deal with working with people, working with teams, regulators. The foundation is go and do a degree. Yes? And I will say this. It doesn't mean that your first degree have to be in core finance. Because your second degree can be in core finance, which is more specialized, building on the foundation. But that degree gives you certain soft skills. Yes? Research ability. Yes? Report writing. These are critical, you know.
Right.
In operating business. Yes?
Yes.
Understanding regulations. Yes? Just to give you a mindset. You know, that mind, that to create that exploring mind, that inquiring mind, yeah? That ability to think out of the box. Right. It doesn't have to be specialized. Then after that, Then with the whole advent of digitalization and the globalization of education, you can now start to do small specialized courses.
Mhm.
Yes? You must understand technology. You must do some technology courses. Yeah? And the
Yep.
technology course is broad.
Mhm.
A certificate in information technology, good. Yeah? You must also know, at least, and I say, the, this modern career individual coming up. Yes?
Right.
Before, when we look at technology, we used to think about this heavy technology where people know how to configure computers, to set up networks, and so on. No, some technology is a simple thing as understanding how your email is set up.
Mhm.
Simple thing is understanding how to set up your email in your cPanel. Simple thing to recognize that if you are really serious about business, you must create a domain name. And you create emails from your domain because it's more private.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yep.
simple thing is knowing how to do it.
Mhm.
So go on. So it's not about you need to get somebody to come do it for you. You must know how to do it. Yes.
Mhm.
So this is
Yeah.
the modern new finance person coming up now. Yes. So while
Yeah.
you're doing your degree, you make sure you select some courses in technology. Because you know all the universities have different components. Yeah. Technology into research. You cannot be a good finance person unless you understand marketing, the core of marketing. You have to understand marketing. Because if you don't understand marketing, you won't understand demand and supply. If you don't understand demand and supply, you cannot account for it in finance.
Mhm.
Because you're going to see the sales drop and you wonder what happened if there's pilferage. When no, people not demanding the goods and services. Again,
Yeah. So, look, I see that we're actually about to hit the mark. We're close to the hour and a half time frame. I would
wait,
love,
time flies, time flies.
yeah, I would love it if you would come back and visit us again because this was really some good stuff. But in closing, I want to ask you this one final question.
Yes.
Is there anything else you would like to share about your journey or offer as advice to others in your field?
Oh, yeah. What I would say to, and this is, and I thank you for that question.
Mhm.
So I would have started from the basic level right up to the level of understanding the highest level of finance.
Mhm.
The journey was not easy, and the journey will never be easy for anybody who want to aspire to that level.
Mhm.
But you must ensure that when you start the journey, you are determined, you are focused, and you don't take one setback and regard it as a termination point. Keep moving forward and focus on where you want to go. Nothing is wrong if you pause and have to start over. Just keep going. You might have to do it alone.
Mhm.
You might lose friends on the way. You might have to make sacrifice,
Mhm.
but it is worth it.
Mhm.
There's a price to pay. You don't need any superior knowledge or born with any special gift to do it. You can do it. Even if you are 50, you can start. If you are 30, you can start. If you are 10, you can start. Age is not a barrier. Just decide on what you want and start. But sometimes, don't tell nobody your plan.
Mm.
Keep it quiet and execute it.
Touche.
Don't tell people your plans unnecessarily.
Mm.
Tell yourself and work on it. But also, don't set unachievable target. Don't tell yourself that in 1 year I want to finish in a year. And you know that based on your current commitments, you might have family, you might have other things. You know it will be difficult because if you do that after the year, you're going to be disappointed. Don't consider the fact that your friend take 3 years to do it. Nothing is wrong if you take 10 years. You'll be at the same place soon with them all. Believe in yourself, even when people don't believe in you. Because the opposite is not always better. Because if people believe in you and you don't believe in yourself, you will fail.
Mm-hmm.
But if you believe in yourself and people don't believe in you, they will not affect your success.
Mm-hmm.
Believe in yourself. That would be my final word.
Oh wow! Well, I thank you for that, and I'm sure that those words were well received because that's a great package to give out, and I really do appreciate you taking the time to at least give these nuggets that you have given because they are very, very, they're just very fruitful. And I got to tell you, I myself actually learned some other things that I probably need to go back and reevaluate myself.
Well,
Seriously.
oh yeah, we are never at a spot where we can't improve.
Right. And so my thing is, I just want to thank you for that. And like I said before, I definitely would love to have you come back if you would.
Anytime. I really enjoy the discussion, and time flies when you're having fun.
Yes, sir. But I'm definitely going to reach back out to you because I definitely would love to have you come back in the new year.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be lots and lots and lots of things that I'm sure that people in our audience are going to be looking to do and would love to do, and I will call it part 2 because we still didn't get a chance to get to the IT, the consulting, the community engagement, as well as the entrepreneurship. So I'll definitely reach back out to you and we'll get that set up. And I want to thank you for your time.
Yeah, man. Thank you very much, and it was my pleasure, and I really enjoy it, and I hope you have a wonderful afternoon.
Yes, for those of you that are watching on the YouTube channel, I want to thank you very much for watching. I would appreciate if you would show us a little love by going onto the YouTube channel and hitting the subscriptions button as well as the notifications button. Also, we want to thank Dr. Brown for giving us a lot of insight tonight. We have another great show for you guys tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please join us then. Until then, you all have a great evening, and we will talk to you all tomorrow.